All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everyone. Happy Friday to you. Welcome to another show. Glad that you decided to spend more time with us. And let's see who we have in the chat room. Let's see, Don Easy. It's real easy. Classy, Ruby. Fitness Mom, Hassan. Just Ask. Well, I put ask in there. I don't see the word ask. It's just DeAndre. I am Lucy, myself, hello me, and Zero, my hero. And he's the reason why I'm late, everyone. I'm just going to just say that, put it out there. He's the one. Yes, I got to blame someone. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a great time. Thank you so much for showing up. Appreciate you. What else? It is raining, so you may be hearing some stuff in the background. Um, but it's nice and warm in here, and because it's nice, and this is kind of weird. Humidity, because of the rain, it's like really kind of stuffy, and you actually want some air, some fresh air. So you'll hear raindrops falling. Just ignore it. Nothing's going on in here. It's all safe. I'm good. I'm good. But again, thank you for showing up. Hope you guys are having a great Friday. Your weekend has begun. Not sure what you got going, but Chicago, we're preparing for I guess you would call it a storm, but it's really not a storm. They're saying storm, but it's just weather. This is what we're supposed to have in January. We're supposed to have had snow, and we're having actually rain right now because the temps are like 40 degrees. But it's coming. Oh, it's coming. So I got that going on with the weather. They've sent the advisory out in the area saying that we probably would have some flooding because the rain started around 6 p.m. and it's supposed to continue for another 10 hours or so. And then after that, we get the ice because the temperature is going to drop and then the snow is going to come, blah, blah, blah. You know how it can go. But we'll get past it. We always do. And welcome, Miss Classy. Ruby, how are you?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm doing all right. Luckily, we do not have any of that extra weather stuff going on here, at least not yet. So, fingers crossed, it will not blow this way. So, all is well. Just a normal, regular, cold, yucky Canadian winter over here.
Oh, yeah.
hmm
Well,
Other than that, that's exciting. It's the second week now in 2020. You know, pretty uneventful. I think Januaries are normally pretty uneventful because everyone spent their last dollar and then some on the holidays already. And then it's a New
uh-huh,
Year's bash, and no one can
uh-huh.
afford to have an eventful life until tax time. So um, we like to say it's spring, and because the weather warms. No, it's just tax time. That's what it is. So, yeah, we're just chilling over here. Nothing exciting.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what tax season look like in Chicago. What it
Okay.
looks like is you'll see these used cars, right? People riding around these used cars, and they have this little yellow tag on it. That's just the temp tag, and
hmm
it's tax season when you see that.
Oh no.
Oh yeah,
Okay then.
and they made a few changes now. You can get your plates right away. Um, Instead of having to go to the DMV and all of that, they have it now that you actually can get it same day. So
Oh.
yeah, they're moving up in the world trying to get that money. Illinois is broke.
Mhm.
They are broke, so they're trying to get it any way they want. They can. So,
mhm.
but that's
Gosh,
how I
don't
know.
I
I
know it.
see them. I see those drivers. I say, oh, they ain't trying to put the signal on or the car a little old. I said, oh boy, here they come. And got
Mhm.
that 1,500, $2,000 car that's only gonna last until the first week in fall
Mhm.
or the first week of winter, and then that's it.
Mhm. If they're lucky. Mhm.
They'll need a jump in about 30, 45 days because the battery goes out first. Then
Mhm.
they'll need some tires within 60 to 90 days.
Mhm.
Then something else will break. They'll get that fixed, and then something else major. They won't have the money for that. So by that time, it's like first week of fall, first week of winter. Then they'll just say, forget it with the car because it done stopped on them. They got some tickets for it, and they're not going to pay for them. Or you get your
Mhm.
second ticket in Chicago, they will impound your car and you have to pay the whole thing. So People just say,
Mm,
forget it. I only paid 2,000 for it. You want me to give you $1,000 for the tickets? So you keep that car. I'll wait till I get
right.
my taxes, and I'll get another. Oh, that's
And
how we
then
do it
so
here.
the
Oh
like
yeah.
here you can't do that because if you have tickets attached to the car, those tickets attach to whoever the car is registered to, right? So unless you've got some
Hmm.
poor sucker in your family who's willing to take out a car in their name for you and register the car to their name, or friends, I mean maybe you might have some dumb friends as well. There's no way you could do that because as soon as you try to register the new car under your name, they'll say, sure, no problem. So that's going to be, $65 for the new registration and this much for the transfer of ownership. And oh, $2,150 for your tickets. And you're not getting nothing until you pay those tickets. So uh, they make sure to attach it to, and that's unfortunate though, because for example, let's say you have a very irresponsible child, um,
Hmm.
and you purchased them a car, you got a second car for them to drive, and then you're driving your own car, and then now it comes time for you need a new sticker for your car, you're going to buy another car for the family home, whatever it is, it's all attached on your name, not theirs. They could go get another car and register it to themselves and they'll be fine. You can't get a car until you pay off their debt. So just so it's clear.
Isn't that
But they
something?
but now they'll give you the option. So now, and I've seen this. This is I don't know if it's like that in America, but here, if your tickets get up to a certain point, like it's just literally it's unpayable for you, it stays unpaid for long enough, and it's high enough that they can care about it. They will give you
Uh-huh.
the option of paying it immediately or just going to jail. And if you go to jail for whatever amount of time, then your debt for the tickets is wiped clean. um, and so
Oh boy.
people will choose to go to jail. It's like you're not getting, it's not a criminal charge per se, but you're still going to jail for it even though it's tickets. um, and I actually knew someone who this happened to, right? And I remember we were also devastated for her. She had like four young kids at home, two of them that were babies. We were devastated for her. You don't understand. She was like 22 years old, right? We're thinking like, oh my god, her life is over in there with these hardened criminals and whatever. And then we found out about the prison called Vanier. Now we did not understand. We still figured it's a woman's prison, but we figured it's got to be a prison, right? It's a prison. We show up
Hmm.
there. We're waiting in the waiting room. We're all nervous for her, right? Like we're all okay. Put on a happy face, whatever. We're all sucking up our tears. So we finally get into the room, and it's like a room you can meet her in. So like, it was no glass between us or whatever. We could hug her before we sat down and stuff. And she comes in and she's wearing a t-shirt and jeans, first of all, and running shoes. T-shirt, jeans, and like regular looking running shoes. This is the first thing. Second thing is, right, she's got her hair in a ponytail. She's kind of got like little sweat beads on her face. And she's got like this bracelet type thing around her wrist that has a key on it. So,
Hmm.
after we hug her because we're happy she's alive, everyone like, you're wearing jeans and a t-shirt. Like I'm expecting a prison jumpsuit, prison orange. This t-shirt's white. The jeans are jean colored. Not the most stylish jeans ever, but they're jeans. What the hell's going on? And she's like, yeah, they let us wear basically like this. Like no one, like, the prison officials don't dress like this, so they can still tell we're prisoners because we're wearing the t-shirt and jeans. But yeah, no, this is what everyone wears. And we're like, oh, and what's the key thing around your wrist, right? Like, is it to your, like, what, do you have lockers where you store your stuff or something? Or like, how does that work? And she's like, oh no, this is the key to your cottage. Sorry, what? To your
Cottage.
what? Pardon? And she's like, oh yeah, no, they're like, everyone has their own individual cottage. So it's like her and she'll have a roommate, right? And they have their cottage and they both have a key to the cottage. So when they're gonna leave and do other things, then they can lock up their stuff to keep it protected in their cottage. Okay. Right? So they were like, well, why are you all covered in sweat? Thinking, chain gang, something like that. She's like, oh, well, we were all playing volleyball in the gym when they told me I had a visitor. You were playing, you were playing volleyball in the where? Well, where are you? I thought, wasn't this
Okay.
prison? Didn't you say this was a women's prison? Like I understand it's minimum security prison, but is this not prison? Yeah, no. So there is this one women's prison here, and I'm telling you, like, if you're gonna get arrested, you gotta go to jail. That's the one to do it at, apparently, because like they cook, like, I swear to God, it's like being on a commune. They cook in a group setting, and like it's not a real prison. So if you
Hmm.
run up your tickets high enough, you run up your debts high enough to the state, and they offer you prison or paying off that $30,000, take prison if you're a woman and you're in the Peel region, and make sure you go to Vanier. Because honestly, they're basically sending you to summer camp for a couple months. And yeah, that's what
Wow.
we found out. Yeah, it's crazy, right? Like,
I
I
think
don't know.
that's what Martha Stewart was. I think that was the same one. Yeah. Okay.
I wouldn't be honestly, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because it's like she was telling us about the food and everything. Like she said, in some cases, she's eating better in prison than she was at home, where she's like a single mom to four kids. She can't eat that well. Sometimes she's eating like ramen and stuff. She was eating way better in prison, and she's like, the food's pretty decent because they make it themselves and they season it themselves and stuff, right? So yeah, yeah. So
That is wild. That is
right.
truly wild. Okay. What y'all got going on? Okay. Hmm.
I'm just saying. I mean, the men's minimum security prisons are not quite that ridiculous, but like they get pretty close. They get pretty close. There are minimum security prisons up north. Everyone wants to get into that one because like you can get a TV and a DVD or VCR, like whatever, inside of your room. And music, you can wear your own clothing and shoes and stuff. Like it's just like you're just basically you have to sleep in a cell at night. Other than that, it seems pretty.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty all right. You can get conjugal visits even if you're not married. Just
What the
stuff like that.
world?
Yep. So yeah,
Hmm.
my friend's baby daddy went to that one, and they were just waiting for him to get transferred to it, right? Because he put in to get transferred as soon as he was officially. They knew that he was going to be going to jail. They put in for him to go there, so they were just waiting because the second he got there, like as long as you don't get into trouble, don't do anything stupid, right? Then you go to like the most minimum security, and that's what it is. But even the regular ones, apparently, like you got the one in Mississauga where they got cookies and juice for snack time. Like I don't know. The Don jail was like rat infested and horrible conditions. Violent guards and stuff like that. And then half an hour away, you got cookies and juice for snack time. I don't know. Like there's no consistency with our prison system. I don't know what to tell you. So
Wow. That is
yeah,
a bit much, but okay.
I know, right?
I'll write that down so I can pass that information to a friend. Okay.
Let them know. It does
Okay.
vary.
Wow. Okay. But yeah, I put in
Mhm.
the chat room. Don't give Chicago any ideas with that jail time. But that's very interesting. I would have never assumed, guessed that in many years. That's
Mhm.
very interesting.
Mhm. Hey, they do stuff different here. I mean, it's some of it's not too bad.
Okay.
As far as life again. Well, you can go to prison for your dad. Yeah, okay, but listen to what the prison sounds like. Oh, okay.
Right.
Summer camp's not that bad. You know. All right, yeah, let's
So
do it. Let's do it.
Netflix and chill. Okay. All
Pretty
righty.
much. Vacation from work. No responsibilities. Don't have to bother to have to get four kids ready every day for school. Like, hey, as long as you got someone to watch them, they're not going to the system, so you don't feel that bad. Like, why not take a little
Hmm.
mini, little mommy vacation?
Ooh-wee. All right. That's a
I know
bit
it's
much.
terrible. Mhm.
That is something else. Mm.
Mhm.
All right. Well, did you well you do, and I'm gonna say did you, but would you like to start off with uh the story?
Okay, so, well, let us get to that tab because I got some interesting ones up in here,
Ooh.
including a couple that happened in Canada. And you will
Oh.
be surprised, I think, by the race of the person who did it most recently. Um,
Mm.
all right. So today, unless I'm totally mistaken, we are going to be talking a little bit more in depth about Carol Sanchez. Um,
Yes.
now, right? Okay. So Carol Sanchez, she's a 16-year-old teen from the Bronx, New York. And at first, right? Remember, we know now that it was a staged kidnapping. We know that she staged her kidnapping, but of course at first they didn't know. And
Right.
there's some issues we can bring up with this later. Like for example, why did it take almost a full 24 hours for them to put out an Amber Alert for the 16-year-old girl who there was video evidence of her being snatched off the street, right? Well, that's another issue. But we'll talk about Carol Sanchez now and the fact that, okay, at the beginning, we don't know. Uh, she's walking with her mom down the street, and she's snatched off the street, thrown into a car. She's gone. Um, now, it took, I think, a couple days. And then she showed back up basically almost on that exact same street and just kept walking towards where they were originally going. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so at first, she you would think to yourself, right? Maybe she would be hiding and trying to pretend like, no, it wasn't. It had nothing to do with me. I don't know who. No, she said she did it. Okay. She actually admitted that she is a person who arranged her own kidnapping. Um, Now, first they were talking about, was it with the mother's boyfriend? Was it with her boyfriend? Um, in either case, what happened is the mother said that they were going to be moving, and they were going to be moving back to their home, well, the mother's home of, oh, shoot, where is it? Venezuela? No, Haiti. It's somewhere
Honduras.
foreign.
No, I
Thank
think it's
you,
Honduras.
Honduras.
Uh-huh.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
Honduras. And she didn't want to go. So, and I don't even understand this teen reasoning, but I guess she decided that if she proved the Bronx was even more dangerous by having herself kidnapped off the streets, that it would tell her mom, well, no, I should want to keep my kid in the Bronx. So she arranged this whole entire thing as a way of preventing her mom from moving her back to Honduras because she didn't want to go. That's basically what happened here.
Okay.
Hold on. I'm trying to find this particular detail. I have like 16 different browsers open about her specifically. Um,
Okay.
yeah, no,
You
because
know me.
there's
I
so
just. Hmm. Go ahead.
no, because there's so many different details, right? Like
Yes.
like I said, so she was kidnapped, snatched off the streets. There's literally a video of this happening. The mother is not part of the cover up, so she goes into the police frantic, find my daughter. And yet it took them 16 hours for them to put out an Amber Alert. Um, and one of the things that they were pointing out once the Amber Alert was put out was, why did it take so long? It doesn't matter that we find out after the fact it was fraudulent. No one knew that at the time. They don't sit there for white kids and say, let's make sure that this is real or not first. They put out the Amber Alert first, right away,
Mm-hmm.
and then they start investigating it because it's a child. um, you know, and what they realized is that, okay, there's a problem here. There's a discrepancy as far as the way we treat, obviously, children of color in general, Black children especially, versus white children, right? So that's point number one that is brought up within this case. Point number two are these kids, because she's not the only one. She's not the only person who has done that, as we know, this year alone, who is faking these kidnapping type things, right? Why?
Mm-hmm.
And trust me, when I say I found a lot of stuff, I'll touch on a few of them afterwards. But um, why are they doing this? Why are they going to such elaborate extremes
Yes.
to try to prove points or to try to manipulate parents for some reason. Are they doing it for social media validation or 50 minutes of fame? Are they doing it because they want to feel powerful? Like, what do you think's going on here, Shar? Why do you think Carol Sanchez did this? I mean, why do you think that she thought this was going to work? Because it doesn't seem like it would make sense, right? Like,
Okay, well,
how do you kidnap yourself
I'll throw
and
a
stay
couple
in
of
the Bronx as a
questions.
result?
I'll throw a couple
Okay.
of questions out there, and then I'll give you just my final thought, which is, always be quick and easy. And I was thinking that I'm like, okay, originally I heard she didn't get enough attention from her mom. I'm like, okay, so we got a young lady here, she wants some attention from her mom, and this is what her scheme was. Okay, all right. So she's like, oh, love me, mama, pay more attention to me. Okay, maybe the mom works a lot. And I haven't heard anything else about family members, so I'm assuming it's just them two. I'm also going to guess that they probably live with someone. And only because I'm told that it's very expensive in New York. And if mom comes from Honduras, I'm just assuming, I can't, really say that she probably don't have a job with a career, possibly. So it's tough, and she like, this ain't working. I'm not making enough money to send back home to the family, and or this just not working. So let's, move. And at least my daughter was able to get some high school education here for a while in the States, and maybe we'll come back later at another time. So I was thinking about that. And
Mm-hmm.
then the daughter like, oh no, I don't want to leave my friends, and then my mom, she's not giving me any attention. Oh, I need some attention. So I'm like, okay, maybe this young lady is thinking, watching too much stuff on TV that this was actually going to work and meant something. Okay, so I came up with, and then once I saw the pictures of her after she was found, which she turned herself in, I had a different approach because I got more information, and I looked at the body language and all of those things, and then I got, like I said, more information about it. And I'll just hold that all to the end because it's going to be a little rough what I got to say about it. So I'll let you
Mm-hmm.
throw your stuff in there, then I put mine in at the end. Go ahead.
Okay, okay. Well, I think that what she gave or what the information she gave as far as my mom wanted to move us to Honduras and I didn't want to go. Um, I think that part is true. It makes sense. Okay, that was true.
Uh-huh.
But I don't think that that tells even half of the story. Um, I really don't. And I'm not sure if was it a matter of, well, did she want it to be a kidnapping or did she want to disappear? As in, did she decide she was going to leave forever? That's what I'm thinking. Because originally I was like, what are you going to do? And then you're going to say, okay, well, you can only have your daughter back as long as she doesn't move to Honduras. Like, I wasn't sure how that exchange was going to work out to benefit her to not go, right? So the only thing that would make sense was that she had been planning on leaving forever, but she didn't want her mom to, I don't know, look basically look at all the sources she would be able to actually go to for help, like her friends and stuff like that. So because if some violent people, and that was what was suspected, this is under duress, it could be violent, she could be under, she could be dying or dead right now or otherwise hurt. That was the original assumption based on the way that she was taken, so they wouldn't go to her
Mm-hmm.
teenage friends. And
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking maybe that's what it is. She needs to hide out at different people's houses or stay in contact with them or something like that. And so she didn't want there to be too much scrutiny. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Maybe she thought, in Honduras, maybe they don't go to the police as often when it comes to these kidnapping things because they know that that's going to mean instant death. You keep the police out of it. So maybe she thought her mom would go that route, and then that way she could kind of keep in contact with friends and whatever, and they could help her get money and clothing and stuff that she would need to try to go it on her own and not have to go to a Honduras. And then while she was out on her own, she figured out it was going to be a lot harder than she thought it was going to be to take care of herself. A. B, she found out her mom went to the police and she saw the Amber Alert about herself and realized she's never getting a job. She's never getting anything. And her mom's not going to just go to Honduras without her. So, in essence, now her little plan wasn't going to work. She didn't have plans that were going to get her out of the state so far, get her away from the Amber Alert. So, at that point, she had to give in and go back. I think that's probably the most likely story. I think in this particular case, she wasn't looking for her 15 minutes of fame. In fact, she was kind of almost banking on things that she knew about her mom and previous history that her mom has said or stuff that's happened with their family. She was banking
Mm-hmm.
on that to be able to get away with her little plan of just being able to basically run away and disappear off into the night, not realizing that by being snatched in front of a video camera out on the street in daylight and all those factors were going to literally make that impossible.
Okay. All right. And this is what I say happened.
Mm-hmm.
Miss 16-year-old Sanchez, she went on with this 23-year-old boyfriend of hers, thinking she gonna, be able to hang out with him and be with him. And she, even though it was a short time, she got a little wake-up call. She saw the demand that this grown man wanted, as far as sexually, because at that age, they are ready. In the morning, the middle of the evening, and the night, just like the TLC song. That was a bit much for her, probably. And then where she had to stay, she didn't have a tub. Probably just had to, share a shower with a couple of guys, and didn't have her Noxzema and, and her, what's that, Provac or whatever that stuff is for your face. She didn't have all them little nice little things. Didn't have any Dove. She didn't have all them products. No Shea Moisture for her hair, because she has natural hair. She didn't have all them products. And also, it's nice and smelly. Bunch of guys, in one spot, because it's not like it's least, it's not that it's very expensive. So I doubt if this 23-year-old had his own place. He was sharing with someone, whether it was friends, family, or whatever. So again, she had to endure that. And then she thought she was going to probably have some attention, or the attention that she wanted. She saw that wasn't going to happen. However, he got his money, not to say, even though the article, as I did some research, says that he was out there in the street, he possibly was. And you can come up with 4 guys to kidnap you, them some interesting friends you got there. So I think that little princess story she thought she was going to have with her boyfriend just was a tad bit much for her. Like, I didn't know I had to do all that. I had to give it up like this all the time. The man got me over in the closet. He don't care. I can't lay down. I got to cock my leg over here. I got to bend over here. He put me in the car. Tired of all these places he's doing this. I thought we were going to have a loving life together. Where's my Shea Moisture? And I truly think that those demands for a young man that age was a bit much. She didn't expect that. She just did not expect that. She had probably 3 meals a day with her mom, but what she probably would have gotten or got a couple of times, that guy wasn't much. And that fantasy was, that reality hit her from that fantasy that she had in her head.
Now, and you know what? I mean, I think that's a viable So definitely a viable theory. You know, one thing, and I hate to go this direction because we've gone this direction in a few different discussions across Black YouTube lately, which has to do with this age difference. Because I mean, honestly, to me, that girl looks a lot older than 16. Like she has like, and I don't mean like body. I haven't seen her body. I'm talking about her face. Her
Mm-hmm.
face, she looks youthful, but she don't look
Uh-huh.
young. Like she looks
Yeah.
like she might be grownish, right? Like she's got an older look to her face. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so then that brings up two questions to me, which is first of all, did her man actually know how old she was? And the second question is, did her man's people actually know how old she was? Because it's one thing to take a little bit of heat for helping an adult kidnap themselves. It's a very different thing, the kind of heat you will take for kidnapping a child, right? Like, let's be real. Um,
Yeah.
and so when a Amber Alert is sent out about the girl who's chilling up in your mama's house or whatever it is, you know what I mean? The whether it was her man, her man's mama, her man's boys, whoever it is, I don't think that her age was widely known, um, and
Mm-hmm.
probably because it wouldn't have been accepted. And when that came out, oh hell no! I don't know what you're gonna do, but you got to get that girl the hell out of my house. Nope, 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 nope. Right? Because I mean, really, it might have been even him being like, nope, I don't. I'm not taking the heat for no pedophilia thing. Yo, you need to get the hell out, right? And see that's the thing too. You got a lot of these girls now, and I'm not trying to be mean or whatever. I'm just saying I was young once, and I was the
You
young
what?
type.
You?
I know, right?
You?
No, I was came out the womb at 30. But no, I was one of those young girls who liked dating older guys. Now it was
Mhm.
legal here. As of
Okay.
15, you were allowed to date whoever you wanted. Um, so it was legal here. But with that being said, I was definitely not above a lie. Um, because at the end of the day, I wanted you to judge me as a person and not based on my chronological age. Because I wanted to get to know you because I knew that kind of mentally and emotionally, I was a little bit past most of the boys that I knew that were my age. And honestly, the boys that I knew weren't checking for me for probably those reasons. So I wasn't above a lie. So I look at these stories and I go, well, do I think she was above a lie? I don't know. I don't know that she really was. They're saying that her and the boyfriend planned it, but did he know he was planning with a 16-year-old child in New York? Like did he really know that? I'm not sure that he did. And I'm not sure the kind of heat that will rain down, the kind of hellfire that will rain down on you for kidnapping a child and you get caught with that child. I'm not really
Yep.
sure he was down for really being about that
Mm-hmm.
life. And definitely not about that prison life. So
Yeah.
it might have all come down and it was like, yo, I'm gonna drop you back off where I picked you up. Your ass better go tell everybody what really happened. Cause I'm not going to prison for you.
Mm.
Nope.
Okay.
Go figure your shit out.
Yeah, I like that too. I like
Mm,
that. I like that a whole lot. At the end of the day, that wasn't going to work out for him, and definitely wasn't going to work out for her. And like I said, I looked at that body language, and there was some disappointment. she
mm-hmm.
she didn't care. She has, that's what her body language was saying. And
Yep.
I'm grown too. It was saying that as well. So um, very interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and I think that that's we need to realize like there is, I think more than ever these days, there is a trend for women, young girls, really, to want to be grown before their time. um, and I think
Hmm.
honestly more so than young boys. I think young girls want to be grown before their time, and they're quite content to keep playing that role long past its expiry. They want to be old before their time, and then once they get old, they want to be young after their time. So it's like, you can never just kind of be content with where you're at. But I don't know, why do you think it is that so many girls these days want to be grown ass women instead of just enjoying being young and frivolous and fancy free, and all the stuff that youth gives you? Why aren't young girls content with that these days?
Well, I say they're influenced with what they read or in these magazines and what they see on television. What is the saying now? Get the bag and um, all these other terms and stuff. They're like, oh, I want that. Oh, I want that. And we, as younger people, we did enjoy all the little cute, lip gloss and press on nails and all that. But now the young ladies are actually going to the salon and getting designs on their nails, rhinestones, and they bedazzling it up, piercings, and got your weave and all these type of things. So they're doing things a little bit different, and this is also what they see. And in
Mm,
order to keep up, and I only say that because what I see in Chicago. In order to keep up with that, they have to sleep with these boys to get money from them,
mm,
and they have no problem switching, you know, um, different guys. That one don't work out, I go sleep with that one next week. See what he talking about? You got 50 on my Remy, and
mm,
they also, like to get high. That's in the music. That music tell you, hey, bumping and listen to this music. This is good music. You got your beats on. Drink your stuff and smoke this. This is the way to go. And they're listening to that, and this is what everyone around them, a lot of them, uh, live around. This is what they see, and they end up doing it. And that's the lifestyle, unfortunately. No Barbie dolls, no grow up
mm.
slowly. I don't even know if I think they took out a print. I'm not for certain that teen. It used to be a teen magazine because I used to get it from my goddaughter. She hasn't been 16 in a while, so I don't think they have it in print
Mhm.
anymore. It was like I think it was Teen Vogue or something, but it was
Oh
a
yeah, they still got Teen Vogue.
okay. And I know they had a magazine for the younger young ladies saying, "Hey, check this out." But uh, I think their magazine might be $5, so not too many people picking it up.
Mm.
And they're like, I'm not interested. But they're influenced by what they hear and what they see, what's around them. It's advertised.
Star though, what they do now, and I know because a friend of mine, like I had a thing for Cosmo. I don't know why. I just had a thing for Cosmo. I did. And so people always knew, like, a great gift for me for
Mhm.
birthdays or whatever. You couldn't think of nothing else. Just get me a subscription to Cosmo for the year. I'll be happy. And I would read any Cosmo, the regular Cosmo France, Cosmo Britain. It didn't matter. I just liked reading the stories. I don't know, just my thing. I
Mhm.
didn't care about the fashion or anything, just the stories and the quizzes. I was just down for it. And what but the last time someone did that for me, they bought me an online subscription. So that's what's happening. People aren't buying the paper magazine anymore because you can buy it
Mhm.
online, and
Yeah.
you can get an online subscription. It'll get sent to, like, kind of like when you have your e-reader, like that, only will could be on your phone or a tablet, a computer, or whatever. So you can now carry around 25 magazines with you if you want, all inside of your cell phone. So
Yeah.
I think that's what the kids of today are, how the kids of today are reading these little TD Bopper magazines. And I definitely think they're reading them because those quizzes, you just can't get over the quizzes. Like, I don't care. It does not matter what age you are. Every TV show always points it out, or movie. When you got a bunch of girls together, what are they going to do? These stupid quizzes, right? Like, you know,
Mhm.
um, well, what's your sexual personality, right? And you fill out these things and then read it, and then
Mhm.
you go, I don't like that result. Let me change a couple A's to C's, right? Like, you know, you wanted to say the right thing, but I don't know. There's that girl, I guess, in all of us that wants to kind of get social approval from a magazine, apparently.
Mhm.
But I think this. I think that as teenagers, like, so when you're a kid, right? You want to do kid
Yeah.
stuff. You think old stuff is gross. Um, I think as what a teenager is you're picking and choosing from what adult stuff you want to do, and you are picking and choosing from what kid stuff you still want to do. And what stuff you don't feel like doing on either side. I don't think there's really teen stuff per se. I think there is
Okay.
kid stuff and adult stuff. And being a teenager is about being allowed to pick some of the adult stuff up, leave the rest of it alone, and that's acceptable because you're kind of playing with adulthood in a way. Um, so I think it makes sense that we want to pick up some stuff that we think makes us grow, and like dressing sexy or having sex because intimacy feels good. We think that we're all the grownness in the world once we lost our virginity because that's what womanhood is. Oh, you got a period. Well, sorry, now you know everything about everything. My bad. Um, and but I think that to an extent, like girls we used to want to pick up some aspects of adulthood and leave the rest of it behind. And maybe the reason why we're okay with picking up all of adulthood now is because it's slightly different. It looks slightly different than it used to.
Mhm.
um Whereas in now, like, working, well, teenagers all work. Sex, babies, it seems like that's what everyone's doing these days, is sexy babies. Playing house, seems like everyone's playing house these days. It's kind of like there isn't as much of a defined line between adulthood and childhood for girls, as much. Whereas, and I think that young boys, I think that if anything, they want to pick up full adulthood even later than before because they can kind of play that game where they don't quite have to take care of anything for a lot longer these days. They can, right? I don't really want to
Yeah.
have a mortgage or a real rent over my head where I have to pay my own bills myself, or take care of a family and be responsible for everyone's decisions, or just all of those things about it. So they can just pick up parts of adulthood that they like, and because they're
Yeah.
old enough and they look old enough and they sound old enough, well, they're men, and just be content with that, and they don't have that same man pride that says, well, I got my own, this is my house, and this is my this, and this is my that. They don't have that same thing that men 30 years ago used to want to have when they turned 18, 19. And I think
Right.
that
Right.
girls
That's true.
are even right, whereas in girls even earlier want all of that. So I think that might be where some of that pressure is coming from, that young girls are putting on guys very early. you know Go be a
Hmm.
grown ass man, because I'm ready to be a grown ass woman at 14 years old, right? And I don't understand what the problem is with that. Why isn't everything just working out perfectly like it does in the movies? What?
Yeah,
Huh?
it doesn't.
Right? Where's your $60,000 job? Go get one. You're a man. Go
Okay.
figure it out, right?
Hmm.
Build? What do you
Well,
mean build?
you know them things. Yeah, they be crying about their cell phone bill, let alone anything else.
Oh, but see, Fitness Mom disagrees with me. She says that she thinks that both boys and girls, none of them want to be young, and I think none of them want to be disrespected, right? So they want to be treated like by other people. They want to be spoken to like they're grown. I think that's very different than actually wanting to be grown, though. 14-year-old boy, don't you disrespect me, I'm a man, right? They've been doing that. They all do that at 8 years
Yeah,
old. Like, who are you talking to, little boy? Go sit down. But and I think teenagers develop that part early, but I don't know about the rest of it. I don't know. Not in my experience, at least. Maybe Canadians are different, but not in my
yeah, I
experience.
can speak to that. She would have to explain that one, but um, it is a difference, and things are moving differently now. We have kids are at home by themselves. They're with their tablet or in front of the television, and they're doing things, entertaining themselves. The parents are wherever they are, at work or at play, and those kids are by
Mm-hmm.
themselves. And there were kids at home by themselves, but it used to be actual people watching them call
Mm.
siblings,
Mhm. Mhm.
babysitters, and
Mhm.
they didn't have
Cousins.
all the electronics. Yeah, and they didn't have all
Mm.
these electronics to keep them busy and all the different programs and this app and that app. They didn't have all of that. So the mindset is
Okay.
a little bit different, and I understand it. You know,
True.
you only can respond to what's around you. So I get that. So
Hmm. That's true. And I mean, and we haven't talked about the impact that social media and our stars are having, obviously, on these kids and these perceptions of what anything is. Right? I mean, going back to this kidnapping concept and idea, right? The it's okay for you to fake stuff for, attention and your 15 minutes of fame. Not only is it okay for you to fake these things, or do these things, whether it gets you good attention or bad attention. But there's a good shot that you might become a multimillionaire, famous and beloved over it, right? Like,
right.
uh, I mean, first, in my last video, I know it was forever ago. I swear to God, y'all, I'm making moves. I'm gonna make something in 2020. I swear to God. Um, I ordered me a lighting ring so I could record at night now. I swear. But anyway, but you got Amber Rose. Now she's beloved and highly respected. But what was she? She was a hoe and a stripper. That was about it. That's her claim to fame. You got what most recently. Look at all what's happening with Jussie Smollett right now. Now, really, I mean, that man had everything. He had everything, right? But what he didn't have was victim status. So he had to fake victim status because these days you ain't anybody if you're not a victim too, right? So I mean, this is what the youth are looking at and idolizing, right? Is do anything for your 5 minutes of fame. And right now, what they're figuring, which is honestly probably true, is right now because it's still in the news and whatever and in court, Jussie Smollett, yeah, he's going to lose everything. But watch, what's going to happen is some time is going to go by and then he's going to come up with some book or some shit saying how I found Jesus and renewed my understanding of blah blah. And he's going to be on an apology tour 3, and he's going to be talking about that low time in his life where he was drinking and addicted to drugs, but he didn't want to tell anyone. But now he's been redeemed, right?
Yeah,
That's what's going to
delivered.
happen. Yeah, he's
Hmm.
delivered, and you know what? He's going to be even more famous than he was because they know that's how it works. This is what's happening these days. This is what we're teaching our kids. We're teaching them this is how life really works.
Be a victim. You win. Yeah,
Right.
I know that's oh
Oh,
so well.
fitness mom made it. Hey, fitness mom, how you doing, girl? I hope so far. Still calm weather over there.
Yeah, it passed, but it was going to pass anyway.
Oh, good,
Okay.
good, good, good. Good news.
Greetings, greetings.
Now, I was saying that, boys want to be adults just like, little girls, same difference. My daughter is about to be 18 in a couple of months. And, well, the girls start off around 13, 14 of, that's when they really start to try to want to be adults or
Hmm.
to get, start feeling themselves or actually hitting maturity. But right after
Hmm.
that, around the age of 15, 16, that's when boys start hitting their not maturity. They're what you call it? Puberty, like really strong. Around 15, they start I was gonna say something really old fashioned, smelling
Hmm.
themselves really good.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, because there are 13 and 14-year-old boys who, are physically going through puberty and all that stuff, but that it don't really kick in that strong until about 15, about 16 especially. That's when they really want to become adult men or act
Yeah,
like adult men. That's when they start bucking against their parents and all this other stuff and
agree.
testing rules and breaking rules, talking about getting apartments and all this other stuff.
Moving out anyway.
Moving out. Yeah. That's when, a lot of fathers will have to sit down with their sons and go head to head because, once a son hits 15, it's very little the mother can do, really. in all honesty. And I mean, it's up to the father at that point, because he's going to have to be checked by a man, and he's going to act like a man. And even if you are the biological father, they'll start bucking against you at that age, because, you know, it's like we're animals, and males have to feel like they're establishing dominancy, especially when they want to start, you know, having sex, or establishing themselves as someone who is fit for sex. They'll go against other guys. They'll start forming packs and all this other stuff. And then they'll start bucking the parents.
That makes, you know what? I think, because now that you brought it up, it seems to me like we kind of got 3 different household dynamics we could be talking about, at least 3 different dynamics, right? So we got the, you know, the single parent dynamic, which really could be single father or single mother, right? But then you've got the 2-parent homes where you could have active parenting, but you could also have, for some reason or another, either permissive or, you know, not really their parents. And I think that that might make a difference as to how much a son wants to grow up, because if he doesn't really have any rules being imposed on him, or really anything unbreakable per se, you know what I mean, there's no real discipline going on inside the household. So in essence, he can just pick and choose. He can live how he wants, do whatever he wants, he gets whatever he wants. And you know, no one's really gonna say not in my house. And even if they do, it doesn't matter. He can just do it again tomorrow, and he's still gonna be able to get away with it. Well, then, you know, I think you feel less compelled or inclined to want to take on all of the other stuff that comes with full adult responsibilities, like moving out and living on your own and paying your own bills, because you know you can live at mama's house and she'll still pay your bills. You know, you still get a cell phone. They're still going to cook and clean for you. You can still come in whatever time you want. You can have girls inside of your room or not. And so basically, like, you know, it's kind of the best of both worlds. And I think the problem is that we don't have enough of the, you know, really structured or, you know, disciplinarian type homes. You know, and we have a lot more of the rest of the type of homes where, you know, it allows that kind of extended adolescence, because you can be as much of a kid or as much of an adult as you want, and there's really no repercussions to it.
But even if you look at it that way, where the child is acting like an adult, they're still acting like an adult. It's not, they don't want to be a child. They just act like adult with a parent that's not responsible.
Well, see, I guess to me, part of manhood, in essence, what they come fully into, you know, man of their own, is they want something of their own because it's theirs. So, you know, they want their own house and their own bills because it's theirs, and they want that responsibility almost. They want to be taking care of their own. You know what I mean? They want to be instilling their own. You know, whereas in, like, yeah, on one side, yeah, you know, you get to stay out as late as you want and, you know, never have to do nothing. That's not really actually acting like an adult. That's just like that teenage version of acting like an adult, because you get to have sex and stay out past midnight or whatever. But no, I'm talking about like that kind of thing that men get into, where it's like, I want to take care of mine. This is my own, you know, this is my house, this is my car. I bought it with my own money because I'm a man. You know what I mean? That thing. I think that we don't get as much of that.
Happens around late 20s to early 30s, though.
See, but I think it used to happen earlier. I really do.
I don't know about that. I don't know too many 18, 19, or 20-year-olds that were just like, yeah, you know, I want to have my own and pay all these bills. It was more like, you know, I like to act like an adult, but not have to pay the bills.
You know what? I guess, I don't know. Maybe, and that's where, you know, where experiences are different, right? I know for sure, like in Jamaica, right, which is different than in Canada, but in Jamaica, I know it would happen really early, let's say in my mom's generation, like that 50-ish, 50, 60s generation, and the reason, who are 50 and 60 now. And the reason why is because it really was one of those, my house, my rules, and you were a child inside that house until you left. So people were, especially boys, were leaving at 15, 16, 17, right? Because they wanted to be able to set their own rules and say it was theirs. And no one could tell them how they could arrange this or what they could put on their wall or what they could buy or not or what they could park in the driveway or not or whatever, because it was all theirs. And I think not to quite that extent of being 15, 16, 17, but even I will say 20, 30 years ago, where you had people who wanted their own. Like, yeah, sure, they didn't want to be buried under billions of dollars worth of debt. I don't think
They
that,
didn't actually want their own. They just were tired of someone else being able to tell them what to do. Now, see, that's what I'm talking about when I say like wanting their own. Like when a man says, when, let's say, take for example, a child has a woman or a mother that does nothing to limit anything in them, and they sit there and allow them to have sex, have company over, they cook and they clean for them. You'll see people that in those kind of situations living in the house all the way up to their 40s and they 50. And the thing is, because unless a person has to, a lot of times they won't step out and be like, I want my own house. Especially if you coddle a person, they'll get into their comfort zone and they will stay there. I mean, the ones that did move out, like you said, were tired of people telling them what to do. It's not like there's no little girl, no teenage girl or teenage boy who's dreaming about paying bills. And usually when you get to the point where you're dreaming about paying bills and stuff like that because you want to pay your own bills, it's usually after you've reached a certain point of maturity where you feel pride in your own self-accomplishment or your own accomplishments. Usually when you're in your early 20s and stuff like that, most of the time you don't feel pride in your accomplishments like that, to the point where it's like you feel pride in what others acknowledge, or how you, like for a woman in her 20s, she may feel pride in the fact that she got a husband when someone else didn't, while a woman in her 30s will feel pride in the fact that her business is doing well. Like at different ages, you get pride from different things. And a man saying, I'm proud that I'm able to pay this light bill, it's more of something that you would get like someone 26 and above instead of someone 19,
See, and I totally hear you. Except, I guess maybe I am misremembering things, as happens sometimes when older people look down upon younger generations. With the tisk 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 in their voice. But I remember people, even in my generation, being proud of being able to, say, contribute to the household. And I hear people, let's say in my youngest cousin's generation, including herself, feeling hard done by that she has to pay for anything for herself at 17 or 18 years old. Like, how dare you think I should get a job to pay for something for myself, let alone a bill for the house? So, I guess that's maybe, and that's just like one small example, but I remember people saving up to buy their own cars, you know what I mean? People wanting to be able to contribute to the household because they saw that there were hard times, obviously, there. It was a different thing. And I think that, when they came up with that whole, I think it was like a decade ago, where they started saying 30 is the new 20. I think that was part of what they were talking about, was just that time that you come into that feeling like you actually get some type of self-satisfaction, and a feeling of accomplishment from doing stuff like that. Even though it's taking away from your fun and freedom time, you still feel better about it than not doing it. I think that used to come a little bit earlier. I really do.
So you're telling me that you think that 18-year-olds in general enjoyed or thought about the fact that they will want to pay some bills?
I think that, yeah, 18, 19-year-olds in general, that's when they started. Not all of their bills. I don't even think they were conceiving of truly how many bills there were, unless they were, under some serious hard financial or other types of scenarios. But, the general ones that were just in a normal home, I think that, yeah, they started feeling good that they could, even, that they had a cell phone. No, that's mine. Yo, I pay that bill. What do you mean? Huh? Yeah, no, I pay that bill. How you mean? Yeah, I contribute to my house. How you mean? Yeah, like I used
I
to
know
think I
I'm
was
not
like a.
talking about just contributing to the house. I'm talking about getting their own and paying bills.
But
Like
see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
getting to their apartment. Like they say, I'm 18 years old now, so it's time for me to move out, get my apartment, and pay my bills. You think that?
yeah,
I mean, so even the ones that were coddled, you think that this is generally how they felt.
no, that was actually exactly my point. Is that I think that less children were coddled 34 years ago, and I think that the coddling is actually a big reason why we have so many less that feel that way or can conceive of feeling that way even until much later in life.
But that's my point. I think that the reason why they wanted to do that was because they were escaping their house.
Yeah, no, I hear you. And I definitely think that there was people who went to the extreme of the second they legally could, they left their house, just so no one could tell them what to do. I mean, they would have to be under really extreme conditions, though, to want to do that just to not tell me what to do. But I think that really, and that's what I said, there's a difference between someone starting to take on those responsibilities and feeling good about them and someone who goes from 0 to 100. And to be fair, also a lot of the people that I saw go from 0 to 100 really weren't going from 0 to 100. From as early as they could, they were already kind of financially contributing to the household with still no freedom or still no respect, and stuff like that. So what they wanted to do is take all of that money and responsibility that they were putting into basically their parents' household and their parents' responsibilities and go and give it to themselves. So I mean, it's a little bit, and see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think that there aren't people who always were just like, I need to get the hell away from that over authoritarian society that I've been brought up in. But I do think that, like I said, it's just an overall feeling, right? I mean, because we know that sense of pride or accomplishment when we purchase something, and then we feel so good that we bought it for ourselves. Like, we did this, I did this, my first this I bought for me, and I feel great about that. And also I can remember kind of, a couple of years before, I wouldn't have felt so great that I had to buy it. I would have more felt hard done by that I had to buy it for myself. Like, this adult thing is so unfair. Why do I have to buy things for myself? Versus, I feel so great, I bought this for myself. You know what I mean? There's a completely different attitude, even if you're put into the exact same circumstances, one way or the other. It's your attitude and your kind of belief about it, I think.
Only me buying a car.
Exactly.
Just saying that I feel if children are given the opportunity to be coddled, they would not want to take on adult responsibilities as easily or as much. But I do feel that they do want to be adults. They just don't want to take on adult responsibilities. And the thing about it is, as a child in their head, they see an adult in one way, in a fun way. But then when they actually get there, they're like, oh, it wasn't as fun as I thought it was. And then that's why they say older people have sayings like, youth is wasted on the young, because of the fact that when you're young, you look at things stupidly. And, as the older you get, the more you realize how stupid you were looking at it. And it's, when you're younger, you want things faster than you can. Like, a teenage boy wants to be a man, and a teenage girl wants to be a woman. That's how they are. But then when they become men and women and get men and women responsibilities, a lot of times, especially in the 20s, they'd be like, "Ooh, man, I wish I would have enjoyed the time when I was at home more. Ooh, man, I wish I would have did this." And a lot of times they start fantasizing or recreating their whole childhood differently in their head, like, "Oh man, in high school I could have did this, or I should have did that," and all this other stuff. And it's like,
The only thing I remember, I was going to say, the only thing I remember It wasn't anything about some bills. I want my own place or anything like that. I wanted to stay out late. That's what I
Yeah, that's
wanted.
what I was saying. That's the
Mm.
things that they wanted when you're, especially when you're a teen. Like, a teenage boy would be like, "Ooh, I want a place where me and my friends could spend the whole day playing video games and eating pizza in our underwear, and talking to girls and having girls over and maybe drinking and smoking weed." I mean, that's what they thought about adulthood.
Right. They weren't
Yeah.
thinking about, I want to be grown, but I just want to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Now,
Mhm.
I remember my threat of running away. I think I was about 10, no older than 11. And I told my mom, because I wanted to stay out later. The street lights was coming on and the summer, whatever. I wanted to stay out there longer with the older kids because I always did enjoy older people. I just understood them more than
Mhm.
kids my age. So I want to hang out with the teenagers. So what? I'm 10, 11 years old, and they're 14, 15. I want to hang out with them. So I, told my mom nice and proudly that I was going to run away, and I didn't think it was fair. So when I went to open the door, it was locked, and she said, "Oh no, you running away?" I'm like, "I didn't mean today." Oh no, well, since you talked about running away, bye.
Yeah, same thing happened to me. Actually, my she opened the door and said, "Well, here's the way out." But anyway, but that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, especially girls. Girls are always going to be earlier. They're going to be earlier. They're always going to be earlier. Your son, he will be later to get to that stage, which is great, I guess. But the girl is always going to be earlier. And you talking about running away, like you said, street lights, 11, 12, 13, especially about 13. At 13, by the time your little girl is 13 years old, she's going to be somebody different.
All I know, I wasn't ready. So
And by the time your son is 15, he going to be somebody different. And then by the time they really realize what it's like to be out there on their own, it's like, whatever it is whatever it is. And then you're like, little boys want to be grown, just like little girls, except for they just get that bug later on. They get that bug around 15, 16, because they start fantasizing about how adult life is going to be, parties with their friends, hanging out, doing all this stuff, having 3, 4, 10 women over, playing video games, you know what I mean? Smoking weed and blah, 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 whatever else fantasy they're creating in their head. Drinking, frat parties. Basically, life is gonna be a giant frat party. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
and no money to
Mhm.
buy none of that stuff.
Because they don't think about the money. They don't think about the money. They don't think about the bills. It's just automatically. And it's the same thing for girls. And the thing about girls is the girls don't even. The girls could get away with it a little more because of the fact that, especially when you start hitting 17, 18, when you get the older guys and they start paying for stuff, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
You know what
they're
though?
paying all right. Go ahead.
And I definitely I don't disagree with that. I mean, obviously, right? And I mean, I don't know. I can still remember, younger days where what you think adulthood means is freedom. And freedom and options, right? So you are free to do whatever you want whenever you want. And that is the major difference between childhood and adulthood. And so you spend a lot of your time trying to, toe the line and push the boundaries and whatever to get more of that freedom that you think is magically bestowed upon you once one day someone magically tells you you're an adult, despite the fact that you pay attention to the fact that your parents are there 24/7. They don't get to stay out late because they're at home with you. But it's okay. Don't worry about it. Adulthood is going to be all the freedom in the world. So yeah, there's those misperceptions, right? And I think that's part of being a teenager. I think that's what, like, to me, being a teenager is literally playing with that. You are a child and you are selecting parts of adulthood that appeal to you, and you're leaving the rest of it behind because there's not really teenagehood. There's just adulthood and childhood, and teenagehood is picking and choosing. You're slowly letting go of childhood and slowly picking up adulthood over the course of time, right? And so I absolutely agree. I just think that to me at least, that adulthood comes with, it's kind of like how when you're a teenager you think you know everything about everything. And to me, one of the milestones of maturity is starting to realize that you don't really know shit about shit. And that is a terrifying thought, because you spent the last decade thinking you know everything about everything suddenly. And then you're starting to realize the more you go through life, the more you don't really know anything about anything. And you're not even sure how all these other adults seem to know everything about everything. And you don't know how the hell you're going to learn any of it. So I do think that there are definitely, I mean, there's just developmental changes that we're going to go through, and changes we learn over the course of experience in life. I think that coddling, we were talking about, that coddling affects us differently, right? Boys versus girls. And yes, girls develop earlier. So we're going to see signs of all of this earlier anyway in them. But I think that also there's something to be said about the natural, underlying biological battle between mothers and daughters that makes girls, young girls, teenagers want to pick up, or at least say that they're picking up, parts of real adulthood much earlier. And the reason why is because they don't want to say that they're reliant on their mother for anything, because that in essence is almost saying that, like, she's an alpha woman. But no, I'm not giving any credit to my mother. I don't want to give no credit to my mother. I could take care of my damn self. Right? She wants to take credit for me. She ain't gonna be taking, right? Whereas in boys don't have that battle with their mamas, right? So there's a bunch of adulthood with women that they're not gonna. I cook for myself. I clean for myself every day. I don't need no one to clean up after me. I can clean it. I can cook. I can. Now, are they actually doing any of these things? Well, probably not. But do they want to at least say that they are and that they can, because they know that it's part of psychologically it's part of womanhood, and they want to prove they don't need their mom, because that's part of being an adult, is not needing your mom anymore. Yeah, and I think that's one of, like, when I said, like, there's real markers of adulthood, that I think that boys and girls, when do we want to start picking them up? And I think girls do it earlier. It's like stuff like that, right? Like, obviously, again, does anyone want to be under piles of debt? No. But does anyone get their credit card at 18 and start immediately spending on it and maxing it out, thinking to themselves, hey, this is how I get to be $50,000 in debt? No one does it, right? No one thinks that way, but they start spending, right? So I think that there's a difference between what you're doing now and your ability to process how that's going to pan out in 5 or 10 years, which develops later.
Did y'all like the dinner show that happened earlier this week?
Well, which one? I'm not for certain.
The play, the dinner show, the whole enactment of the fake war.
Oh, I didn't see anything.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
See, what had happened was, the thing was, they had got me at first. They got me for about a good hour. They got me. So I turned on YouTube and Yahoo. No, I turned to Yahoo, and all of a sudden I see Iran strikes U.S. air base, U.S. bases in Iraq, and I'm like, oh no, are they serious? This might be an actual war starting, right? So I'm like, okay. But then all of a sudden I heard the magic words that I knew something was up. The magic words were no American casualties. And I was like, wait a minute. Soon as they was like, they struck 3 bases in Iraq with ballistic intercontinental ballistic missiles. You know what I mean? And I'm like, okay. So I'm like, these ballistic missiles are big. They get a big boom. And next thing you know, they struck 3 bases with 5 or 6 missiles and not a single American casualty. I was like, yep, it's fake. All of it is fake. And from that moment on, I was like, it's fake. And then it was like, he wasn't coming to address anybody. And he'll talk about, I was like, yep, so it is so fake. I was like, so what happened was, because the thing about it is that they was like the troops had been practicing all day, doing drills all day about what's supposed to happen, so that they can go to a certain spot and be trained up on it, and then that night, and then where the bombs. So this is what I'm pretty sure happened in all actuality. I'm pretty sure Donald Trump cleared through Iran and said, "Hey, I need a high target to kill, and you mind giving me this general?" And they was like, "Yeah, okay, we'll give you the general, but what you gonna give us? Because we can't just give you a general, and we not get anything in return." And he was like, "Well, you could do this, that, and other, and this, that, and other, and we'll make it seem like, we're going to war, so you could at least save face. You could say something like you're pulling out of this, that, and other, the nuclear deal or whatever, and this way I will get a better chance of getting elected, and you will get to save face over all this once he's dead. Not like, we can take out one of your commanders and you don't have anything happen." So he got the okay. He killed the guy. They posturing back and forth. Iran was allowed to do their hits. There are 3 hits on the 3 targets. That's why they had people recording the videos and all this other stuff. Having some yeah. And then they put the flag up and all this other stuff. And nothing else was happening because my husband's over there. He's in Afghanistan.
Okay.
And not only that, he has 5 people that work for him that are in Iraq. And they were moved to a certain base and all this other stuff and all these movements around. I'm like, this was all fake. This is all to get him reelected. And it's all just fake. Everything about that was fake.
What is it? False flag? That's what they call them.
That general was sacrificed.
Well, I could say, and you know what, honestly, I stay away generally from most of this stuff, but I will say that I actually, despite not really knowing the details, I actually agree with you because I was absolutely positive that this had something to do with re-election in general. Even if it was true, it doesn't matter. It's happening now. The timing cannot be ignored. It's happening now because Trump knows exactly how unpopular he is. Trump knows exactly how much most of the country would rather elect anything than elect him. And so, but what happens, America is notorious for re-electing a president if a war is starting or has started. They're notorious for it. So what do? Well, you start a war and then you take care of it. You take care of business and it happened under you. And even if it's ongoing, in general, America re-elects that president to see it through. So yeah, I would not disagree with you.
And it's funny, right? Because you look at it, he was right before the strikes. He was something, let them strike a base or the people, and we're going to go in. We got targets lined up. And then all of a sudden, they was like, Iran pulls out of agreement with Barack Obama that they had. And I'm like, well, they didn't want to be in that agreement in the first place. So now they got a way out. And I say, so that's what the U.S. paid for that general. The U.S. paid to kill that general. They allowed Iran to get out that nuclear crap. And so Iran pulled out. They got what they wanted. And they said, okay, so we're going to hit your base at them. Because I was calling my husband. And I was like, so what are y'all doing to prepare? This is before they said no American cash. I said, so what are y'all doing to prepare? And he's like, nothing's happening here. I was like, what? Nothing's happening at any of the bases in Afghanistan. I'm like, but they're talking about war and all that. He's like, we're not practicing. We're not doing drills. We're not doing anything. I'm like, oh, okay, fine then. And then the next day after the thing, the next day after the strikes and everything, I called. I was like, so are they at least talking about anything at the base or anything? He's like, nope. The business as usual. I was like, yep. And I said, it's hoax. And we started calling it hoaxes pokes 2020. So
wow.
It was like hoax time. And there was
propaganda.
Like World War III about to happen. I'm like, nah, Iran wanted out the nuke deal. They got the daggone. And know what else is crazy? Today, Russia had a ship that came too close to the American ship, but it ain't doing anything. It just got a little too close. I was like, okay, yeah. So this is all just some stuff to get him, so it could be like, and then afterwards, after the Iran and hit the bases, he's like, well, the American people are safe and this, that, and other, and so we don't have to worry about attacking. We're going to step down. I'm like, of course we're going to step down because Iran hit a base in the middle of the nowhere near people. 3 bases, no damage really, nowhere near people. And I'm like, really? And then they had the nerve to put the flag up at the end. I was like, oh, this is so comedy.
Hey, God bless America. Gotta put that on the end.
Hey, gotta put the flags up. And then he declared victory. Iran declared victory, and we all get to see the little dinner theater. It was so funny because it's that movie Chicago. You ever saw the movie Chicago? The one with
I forgot his name, Richard Gere.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and Renee Zellweger. And the whole time it reminded me of the scene in Chicago when she's about to go on trial. And he was like, it doesn't matter if if you did or not. You got to give him the old razzle dazzle.
Razzle dazzle. Yeah,
this actually reminds me of, and I'm posting it inside of the chat right now. If y'all have never heard of it, there's a movie called Wag the Dog. And in my 12th grade world issues movie class, one of the first things the teacher did was play this movie. And they did a remake of it. I think the original one's 1989, something like that. But anyway, the point is that, listen, there was this huge presidential sexual scandal. They didn't want it to keep playing in the news. So what they did was they faked an entire war. And fed it to the media, fed it to the public. So that way, basically, people could forget about the sex scandal and reelect this president. And, it drew a lot of discussion because basically it has been hypothesized by other countries, certainly America would never say this about themselves, that America has done this before, multiple times. So so Wag the Dog is basically like saying like, yeah, this is totally fictional, but we're basically telling you about something that's already happened. Right? And so whenever these things come up, I'm like, I always go back to thinking about that movie because it's so easy. It's harder now. It's harder now in the 21st century with the kind of, social media access that we have now to fake things quite so readily because we can talk to other countries now over the internet. It's just really easy. Hey, blah, blah, blah. And other people will be able to post pictures and we'll be able to spot things and whatever. But, I still think it's quite doable. Yes, you would actually have to have something happen. There would have to be, reports all over the place that, hey, they heard a loud boom and they saw this in the sky and blah, blah, blah. But it doesn't mean that what you saw as an outsider over here is actually what really happened over there. The story that they're concocting about it, right? So, but yeah, if y'all haven't seen it, watch it. It's a good movie.
Yeah, I've seen it. I'm trying to think of the actor. I know it's not Al Pacino. What's the other guy name?
Dustin Hoffman.
It's the other actor.
Who else is in this movie?
His face used to just tickle me. His expression. But yeah, I did enjoy that movie a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this guy because I like conspiracy theory stuff, and I do not recall his name because he didn't use his
De
name.
Niro.
Yeah, Richard. Yeah, De Niro. What's his first name? I forgot. But I know
Robert De Niro.
Robert. Okay, not Richard. Yeah, Robert De Niro. His face was tickling me. His expressions in that movie. I just really remember that. That every time Wag the Dog, I could see him with that cap on and his facial expressions. That's just what stands out. But this guy, I don't remember his channel, and this was a long time ago. It's like 2014, and he was so good at all this stuff. He would, catch it, all this false flag, and he would catch all of that stuff. And it got him so bad. He wasn't in the United States. I forgot where he was. And he used to get so excited when he would, share with the audience. And they started, taking his channel down. YouTube was like, no. They came up with whatever. He built it back up. Other people would help him. And it got him so bad that whatever, because it was not considered police. I forgot what the term is for their police. They had came to his door to see him and told him he need to stop posting on YouTube.
Wow. Really?
What had happened was it was this particular event where this car was supposed to just drive through this shopping area and run down people and all of that. And he had to clip and he would slow it down. And he's like, look
Mm.
at this. I forget his accent. Look at this. This is ridiculous. You see this? Oh, I can't believe it. Oh, you see that guy right there? See, he was ready to run. Why was he ready to run? See there? It's all a stage. It's a hoax. I tell you. And so he'd be all
Wow.
excited, and I was excited watching him be excited. And what really did it for him was he actually went in person to that area and he interviewed the town bum. That's the best way to describe the guy. Is you,
Mhm.
now I know in some areas, if if this happens for you, you know what I mean. Some areas there's one particular person, it's usually a man, that will come to the same place every day, uh, especially Monday through Friday. I'm not going to even say 7 days a week, but definitely Monday through Friday, have their cup out and ask for money. Same spot, same that time, 5 days a week for
Mhm.
years. And this particular guy that's been planted there for all this time, for this particular event that happened, that guy was not there. And that's what stood out to that guy. He's like, wait
Mm.
a minute, where's that vagrant? He's always there. So after everything had died down, what he went to do, he went to go find the guy. Had his little small camera crew, which might have been a uncle himself and maybe a cousin, and he went to interview the guy. And the guy was kind of nervous because he told them on camera he wasn't supposed to talk to anybody. He was told or paid not to talk to anyone. After that guy did that, played that on his channel, that's when they came after
Mm.
him. And he tried to get an attorney to help him with his case because he's like freedom of speech and all of that. Nobody would take his case. He couldn't give that case away.
Wow.
So that they took his channel and no one would give him a reason why they took his channel. And then he ended up just doing chemtrail videos. That's the only thing he was able to do. And then he faded away. Last time I seen him might have been 2017, early 2017, late 2016, probably early 2017. I never seen him again. And I don't remember his name. And all his videos that I saved for later, of course, they're gone.
Mhm.
When I go to playlists, this video no longer exists and all of that. So I don't know the channel name or anything. And I'm hoping he's okay. I hope they didn't take that man out because
Right?
he used to show the actors. Um, he used to call the hospital where these people uh, supposed to be in a hospital because they were injured from this, shooting or whatever. I mean, he
Mhm.
was on it. And I really liked his stuff because he reminded me of me. I'm like, I would think of that. I would think to do that. I would go around this way to get that information.
Right.
And
Ooh, don't
I,
you do
I,
that.
I really was so sorry that man was gone. I'm like, all he was doing is just showing the truth, which, of course you can't have that. And, but I don't know where that man is. And I hope he's alive because, um, if you look through some of these channels, in the past anyway, because they took so much stuff down, you would see that a lot of people mysteriously disappeared, car accident,
Mhm.
it's always the brakes and all of that, So I really hated that. I'm like, man, I used to be so excited with that man, and
Don't
Mm-hmm.
he
don't
had some
ever try
phrase.
to prove the government wrong. Don't do that. Don't ever.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and that's what ended up happening, and that's why they came to his door. I don't know what they were called, consulates or so. I don't know what their. It was a different term. It wasn't police or officers or
Constable?
maybe that's what it was. I know it was something,
Hmm.
and I was just like, poor man. And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I learned about the crisis actors, because he would give you the website of the crisis actors.
Oh wow.
He would show you pictures like, see, he was in this one. 3 years later, the same actor. 2 years later, this actor, he would show each one. He said, look, he got a hat on this one. Oh, look, see his hair, you see that he's balding here? He doesn't have a hat on. Oh, you see right there? Same guy. A year later.
Wow.
How can it be in each one of these things? I told you these are false flags. I told you. I told you.
Wow.
I tell you one thing. I tell you that this is dinner theater, but you will never get me trying to prove it.
Nope.
I
Right.
would never try to prove it. I know too that is
Yeah.
like that dude. He ain't kill himself. Like you know, don't try to prove. Never try to prove. You can sit there and have
Hmm.
all the theories you want, but don't try to prove. Once you
Yeah.
try to
It's
prove,
not going to help.
you
It's never going to help.
you get in, you get the visits from the men in black, and I'm not talking about the ones that investigate aliens.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
I wouldn't be
always two of them.
surprised. It's like that guy who really went out of his way to try to prove that 9/11 was
Hmm.
something that was orchestrated by the
Hmm.
government.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he got his documentary out there. It took like what 12 years of him very slowly and very carefully doing it, and when they said shut up and stop looking into this, he went okay, and then would stop for a while, and then blah blah blah, and all this stuff. But there's so many areas, so many places, suddenly no one would talk to him, or suddenly he
Hmm.
got a warning to cease and desist. And I mean, he didn't even, I don't even think he actually released it like on a, hey, I got published and made millions of dollars on this. I think he like just posted it to like YouTube or some website or something like that. Cause I think I saw it on YouTube.
Hmm.
Um, or like, I'm pretty sure I saw it online somewhere. But I'm like, I wouldn't be surprised if that guy is gone. Just gone. Like
Yeah.
where is he? I don't know. Has anyone ever heard of him since? Is he doing TED Talks and stuff like that? Nope.
Yeah. Because
Mm-mm.
a lot of those
Not gonna
guys
happen.
disappeared. A lot of those witnesses disappeared. Hmm.
We like to think the CIA, or they go into places like Afghanistan. You don't think that the CIA will come right into Canada and shoot someone in the head who won't cease and desist? I bet you they would. Like you better stop right now. Like you are doing something that is going to be bad for us. We do not like it. We're trying to do it the nice diplomatic way, but there's a hard way that we can do this too. And I will say that when it comes down to exposing secrets, or getting, it's kind of like oh, what is that show called? It's the one that they have like that secret government behind the government, sort of like it's like a secret agency basically that is not within the government's control, and they're really the ones who make all of those, the really big decisions that it's above any agency's pay grade. Like they don't even know that this agency exists. Oh, can't remember. It's one of these TV shows. I don't even know why I watch the TV show, because I don't really normally like stuff like this, but they did it in such. Oh, you know what it was? I think it's Scandal. I think it's Scandal. Is it
Okay.
Scandal? I feel like it's Scandal. Um, but yeah, and there's like a government agency, but it's not a government agency. Like from the time you sign on to it, you are told basically that you answer to the Republic, which is not the president of the United States. And there's no out. Like short of death, there's no out of being inside of this agency. And suddenly, especially if you're the one who's running stuff, what about the things that have actually happened is just like mind blowing. And I wouldn't doubt that that really exists in America. I honestly wouldn't. That's where we keep getting all of this talk about the Illuminati and, all these
Yeah.
space people controlling the galaxy and stuff. I think it's what they do. So people like, for example, David Icke. I don't think David Icke is as crazy as everyone wants him to be. I think that the man is just intelligent enough to make himself sound just batshit crazy enough with some of his theories so he can get some of the truth out there. I'm being real. I
Right.
really honestly believe
Right.
that
That's the way to
because
do it.
some of this stuff is just so dead on. So then when he starts talking about like insane stuff, you're like, oh, this guy's crazy. Forget him. And so, he's writing himself off as a crackpot. So therefore, the government can say everything he says is just some crackpot bullshit, and it's fine. But I think he's really telling the truth sometimes. I really do. And I think that's what they do. When they can't shut you up, they discredit you by making you look and sound crazy, and tying a bunch of crazy stuff to you. And if you want to be smart, you will let yourself come off looking like a crackpot because some of us out there are going to be like, I don't know. I don't know. Put my tinfoil hat on. I don't know. That doesn't sound too
Hmm.
wrong to me. Doesn't sound too wrong to me. I mean, I still think, like, for example, the whole HIV/AIDS thing, right? And they're like, oh, they got it from monkeys. They didn't get it from monkeys, and the reason why they didn't is because the HIV, AIDS, like the virus, it doesn't look like the one from monkeys. It looks like the one that comes from sheep, from Visna. That is the closest relative to our HIV. One way or the other, what it definitely illustrates, though, is that it was something that was man-made slash created, whether you believe it comes from monkeys or sheep. Period. They tried to say, oh, it came from monkeys, the African green monkey. To try to be like, well, if those African people just stopped sleeping with monkeys, then we'd all be fine. That's some stupid bullshit, right? And especially again, once we get the science out there, then we could look at it and say, oh, it doesn't actually look anything like the one that comes from monkeys. But sheep, something
Hmm.
white people have been fucking since I don't know how long on the farm base,
Hmm.
looks just like those sheep shit. Oh, well, if it was gonna come naturally from somewhere, it came from them farm hit boys. So I'm just saying. But no, like, I got that from David Icke. I got that from David Icke like 20, 30 years ago. But you know how I knew for sure David Icke wasn't complete bullshit? And I knew for
Well,
sure there was something he said in there that was really, really real in his book, Behold a Pale Horse, is because it's banned in Canada. The book itself is banned in Canada. You can't even
wow.
bring it across the border. Nope. Yeah. Like, it is literally, it's a banned book in Canada. Like, if for you to get it, someone would have to sneak it into your ass inside their suitcase. Like, it,
That's terrible.
for real, right? Like, and I couldn't believe that. Like, this is not like propaganda that's saying, death to all Canadians or something. Like, how is it banned? It's been banned in Canada for my whole life. Like, when I finally heard about this book, Behold a Pale Horse, and I was like, oh, I gotta read that. Yeah, no, you can't get it across the border. They will take it from you. Like, yeah.
Mm.
That's how I knew,
Isn't that
because
something?
nothing that's complete lies, complete bullshit, complete fabrication gets banned from a
Hmm.
developed country. Nothing. So if it got banned, it's because there's something real in it. Yeah.
Right.
100%. 100%.
Isn't that something? But yeah, I'm with you. I'd be going down that rabbit hole. No problem. I'd be enjoying it.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I wish more of these rabbit hole channels. I mean, they never really last long, as you said. It's probably because they end up getting banned, and pulled
Yeah.
down enough times until the content creators give up, when that's the only content that they do. You got to be slick with it, honestly. You got to be the kind of person who isn't doing that kind of content, but on rare occasions slips it into something else you're saying. Like, that's the only way. And you can't get famous for being that person who says that stuff, who has those conversations. Like, you just can't be.
Yeah. Yeah, I can do that for hours. I'm like, and what about this? Once you open that up for me, I keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny.
Hmm. Because
Just the
there's so
fact of
so many.
talking about
It's a rabbit hole. It never ends.
it. Right. I can't help myself.
Hmm.
And I always think about that guy. I'm like, I hope he's still alive. I hope he's okay. Um, because I really appreciate that information he given me. I wouldn't know
Right.
anything about prices, actors, and there's one lady. She was a cab driver. This happened just a couple of years ago. I don't even think she. Shoot, it might have been. Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, it was 2018. She had no idea. She just was recording a video because she's a cab driver and she like YouTube.
Mm.
And she was recording and stuff, and they did this fake shooting. And I know it was fake because people got their cell phones and they were at whatever this place was recording, and you clearly can hear the shots, and they're like, the people that's laying down on the ground, like, wait a minute. The men like, those not real gunshots. No, that's coming through the speaker. Those are not gunshots. And the people like start getting up. And
Mm.
they snatched all that stuff off YouTube.
Mhm.
I laugh because I'm listening. I don't even know much about gunshots, but I knew that was coming through the darn speaker. I'm like, at least you could have just didn't have to use a speaker. Come on.
Right. Right.
It was like instead of bang bang bang, it was boom boom boom. I'm like, get
Oh
out of here.
no.
Get out
Oh
of here with
no. Oh. The effort.
I'm like, get on out of here. So the woman, she was just outside. She was gonna wait for her, you know, take somebody back home or whatever, back to a hotel. She's like, wait a minute, what is that sound? Sound like it's supposed to be gunshot? And she's in a cab, and she's
Mm,
outside, like, wait a minute,
mm.
that's supposed to be gun. That's not gunshot. What the? So she started driving toward that particular area. And
Wow.
she picked up some people, and they were plants. They were
Mm,
plants because she was talking to them, and when she was telling them, like, "You all come from there, you hear that?" And this woman, she just kept saying that it was real. She was scared, and she's like,
mm,
"There's nothing to be scared of." She said, "Cause that did not sound like any real gunshot." And whoever this woman was, she was, acting, and she was bad acting too. And it didn't work out, but then they ended up pulling all that stuff. So now, unfortunately, when I hear stuff, I'm like, yeah, right, sure. Sure, they marched in there and they did that. Uh-huh, yeah. Because
mhm,
this guy I was speaking of, he used to call the hospital.
mm.
I'm telling you, I would be up 4 o'clock in the morning watching his videos. I couldn't stop. Just once I started,
Wow.
I just couldn't stop. He would
Mhm,
he would call, hello, might I speak to John Doe? And he's supposed to be on the fourth floor or something like that. And he'll answer the phone, hello? Because he's confused why they, calling him because he got hired to fake that he got injured. Um,
mhm,
hello? Hi, this is the news. I just was checking up on you, mate. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I got, shot in the leg. So after he plays all this, he always says, have you noticed they always got a cast on? It's always their leg. Why all these people, every time they get injured, always this darn their leg? Have you noticed that, everybody?
mhm.
That man tickled me. And
Mm,
I keep thinking about it. I hope he's okay in life. Whatever's going on with him, I hope he's all right. Because they end up
right,
doxing him. Now, this is before Black YouTube started doing this mess. They end up doxing that man because, they were after him. They didn't want him to, they want him to be quiet. So,
right.
yeah,
Yep.
so,
Mm, mm,
poor
mm, mm.
man.
Right?
If
Mm,
you hear me, I
poor
hope
guy.
you're all right out there. I remember
Wherever
you.
you are.
Okay, I
You are
remember.
remembered and you are beloved.
That's
Just so
right.
you know. Hmm.
Man, oh man. Mm.
So, what are y'all thoughts on this new study that's coming out?
Which new
Saying
study?
that It's saying it was about how fertility rates in the United States have dropped again. And they're saying that it's because of women deciding to delay childbirth. Like they said, teen pregnancy is at an all-time low, and women
Mhm.
between the ages of 20 and 34 are deciding not to have children as much as normal. But women between 35 and 50, their birth rate is on the rise. So that's
Yeah.
the decline in teen pregnancy and women decide to advance their careers and all this other stuff is now making it so that the birth rate is to the point where it won't replenish itself and all this other stuff.
Well, what is this
Hmm.
about? Trying to get rid of people because it's too many and all of that, and so they're giving you GMOs and all that to get rid of people. What do you think about that then? Because why would they be concerned if that was the case? If there's less people, if that's the mission to get rid of people.
Well, it depends on what type of people you think they're trying to get rid of.
Oh, all right, go girl.
I mean, because they're definitely not trying to get rid of white people.
Right, right.
It's young white teens that are having a decline in birth rate. It's also young white women who are deciding not to have children as early.
Yeah,
And there's
freezing
also
the
older
eggs.
white women who are deciding to have children later, and some of them are running into fertility issues.
I
Well,
can't.
you know what?
Go ahead.
There's another thing, right? And I can't remember, like, people have written books about this, and they've done all the studies, but and this traces back to 10,000 years ago. Even the same habits apply. Is that if you are born into wealth and comfort, you're more likely to wait until later to have children and to have less children, but invest a lot into them. If you are born into poverty and with a lack of safety and security, you are more likely to have start having children a lot earlier, have a lot more of them, right, and invest less into each individual one. That is just the trend. So what ends up happening is you kind of have a skewed growth where generally the poorer side of things grows a lot more than the richer side. So if they were going to be using GMOs and whatever the hell else to kill off people, they're obviously targeting the undesirable side, right, to try to curb their population growth, because that's still going to be speeding forward regardless of other factors, because that's what they do.
Mm-hmm.
And trying to give basically their side, quote unquote, a chance for them to become way less of a minority. They want more control, they want more power, and they want more of them. But the problem is, again, if you are waiting until later, we know that there's going to be, first of all, there's a whole bunch of different other factors that are going to come into play the older you get, that are going to lower your fertility rates. Just in general. I mean, that's just like natural, right? And then we know, like with women, like the amount of eggs that we're going to produce becomes lower and lower. We know that, like at 35, you are considered basically what's it called, gerontological, right? Basically you're an old risk pregnancy, right? Like that's at 35. So if you're not having all your kids before then, you already got a lot of problems. But of course, what people are seeing in the news, right, they're seeing in the media and social media, look, Tyra had a baby at 46. This one had a baby at 45. This one had 3 babies at 50. So it's
Mm-hmm.
giving the false perception that that's an option for everyone, right? That's a great option for everyone. Everyone should wait. And then once they're 39, 40, then they can worry about having the 5 kids they always wanted. And so I can totally see that kind of skewing things, and people who might have taken a break in their career, slow down their career or something to start having their children earlier might be waiting until later and then figuring out, like, oh, maybe that wasn't a great idea for me and my body, and I don't have tens of thousands of dollars to do the things that Tyra did to make sure she could get pregnant over 40, right? So I don't know. It seems logical. I mean, it seems like it probably is true. And, a lot of people are probably sitting at home bawling their eyes out because they used a bunch of multimillionaires as an example of the fact that any woman could have as many children as she wants at any age these days, which was a mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, since they're basically trying to make abortions illegal nowadays, and it's like at the same time, if you think about it, like there are a whole lot of poor black people having a whole lot of children, but yet still the black population in this country never grows. So obviously, it's being contained somehow, that it stays a certain size or actually shrinks, regardless of how many children some people can have.
Hmm. I don't think that there's really any problem with black population growth at all. I think that their problem is that every population but theirs is growing. Their population, which we've known for a long time, is a negative population rate, right? Where they're not producing enough children to even literally just have the same amount of people population overall. Their population's decreasing. So not only is their population decreasing, but they are also having children with non-white people. And not only are they having children with non-white people, but other groups still have a positive population rate. So overall, I think this is all just, fear mongering and whatever for their own, right? We need to get our stats up, people. We need more of us. We need to stop doing this. So you know what? That goes to show you that for all of the statistics that keep dropping about black women and the abortion rate, they're not trying to make abortions illegal to stop black women from having abortions, which then tells you that white women by leaps and bounds are having way more, regardless of whatever statistics they want to sit there and try to present. I think they were presenting those statistics actually to try to tell white women, like, oh, this is a black thing to do, not a white thing to do, which of course it didn't work. And so now it's just like, okay, well, we're just going to stop you by any means necessary. So here you go, right? Just like, right, which again is something I'm going to talk about in more detail, but just like there has been a birth control pill that has been available for 30 years, 30 years, that is non-steroidal, as in no hormones. So therefore there is no side effects, but it entirely prevents pregnancy with no side effects. 30 years, but it's not available on this continent. It's available in India. It's available in other countries, but it's not available here. Right. It's available everywhere, basically, but North America. Now, why is that? Well, it's because they don't want people, especially their own, to be able to take this pill. It doesn't matter how much it costs. And hey, it's not going to make them feel like they don't want to have sex. It's not going to make them feel crappy, bloated, gain weight, moody, suicidal, whatever it is. It's not going to give them any negative side effects at all. So they can have sex as much as they want. They can enjoy life as much as they want, and they won't get pregnant. They do not want that. So they do not make the pill available here. And I looked, and even with the research studies that they've done on this drug in America, they do research studies to treat other types of diseases and disorders, like people who bleed too much and stuff like that. So it's actually available. You can get the drug, just not as a birth control pill. Oh, did I mention that at first you have to take the pill like twice a week for the first 12 weeks, and then afterwards you only have to take it once a week? Completely prevents pregnancy, no other side effects. So it goes to show you they've been playing this game for a long time, and they understand that ultimately, for whatever reasons, and we talk about a lot of the different reasons on here, they're not having enough children. They can't keep their population rates up, and for the people who are keeping population rates up, they're going to they're making children with non-white people, and that's not desirable. Yeah.
I think it's because they succeeded so well in their stopping of teenage pregnancy and convincing women to wait longer in life. And it's like the capitalism came and bit them on their butt because, they wanted women to see when you have children, a lot of times before you have children, that slow down spending, slow down. And a lot of people used to get married, which basically it slowed down the economy. You know what I mean? Because you got married. It wasn't two people spending, they were budgeting, they were raising their children and so on and so forth. And that wasn't, the best for the economy. But now when promoting the whole single parent households and all this other stuff. That's actually better for the economy than a married household. Getting two different people spending all this money, and if a person decides to delay having children when they're young, then they spend more money because they don't have responsibilities to worry about, so they could throw more money out there. So I think that the push to get people to spend more money had the negative side effects of less children. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. That
Yeah.
absolutely makes sense. And see, that's the thing. They don't always, I think through the consequences of some of these decisions. Being money hungry, they care about the money first, and then afterwards it's like, oh crap, and then they want to blame it. I'm sure they spend a lot of time trying to blame it on everything else. Not realizing like, oh wait, no, we created this problem. Right. What do you do now? Because see, the thing is that they forgot the fact that society changed greatly as well. So when society changes and now women are not being shamed for having sex outside of marriage, right? They're not even really being shamed for having pregnancies outside of marriage, but they're definitely not being shamed for having sex outside of marriage. In fact, if anything, God, due to Amber Roses, it's almost like you can't even be popular unless you're banging someone. So they didn't account for that. They didn't account for the fact that women having this sexual freedom and men still loving and respecting women who are having sexual freedom, outside of marriages. No one's getting married. Those marriage rates are way down. Divorce rates are way up. And when the hell is anyone going to have those kids now? You didn't want them to at first. Now you realize, oh wait, well, if no one wants to have children, then it's not driving anyone into marriages to plan for children. So by the time people decide, oh, okay, now I'm older and I'm supposed to want children, now they got to go find themselves a house, a household, a husband or a wife or whatever, to try to build that life that you're telling them that they're supposed to do, but they're starting 10, 15 years late. By the time they get into it, now they're 35, 36, 37, finally getting married, and they finding the right one to have these children with. Now they're going to try, but they're older, they're stressed out, their food, as far as what's coming into them, is shitty as hell. So many of our practices are not conducive towards higher rates of fertility overall. And then, damn, after a couple of years of trying, now you're 39, 40, you finally saved up enough money for in vitro, because they made sure in vitro was so expensive to be able to get. So every round costs you tens of thousands of dollars. I mean, no one thought about this. They really didn't think it through, I don't think. And so, yeah, now they're stuck with the consequences of their own actions. So good luck with that.
So it's like, that's just how it is. And I feel like I don't think it's going to get as drastic, but I think eventually they might start pushing back towards family and all this other stuff, or pushing back towards marriage, or basically trying to reverse it as much as they can. Just like they're sitting there, got the abortion, trying to make that as illegal as possible.
I think, though, the only way that they're going to be able to succeed with that, short of feminism blowing up on its own, and it's not going to do that anytime soon, is to try to convince the movers and shakers at the top of feminism, who are really the ones controlling the message, that these days feminism is all about getting married early and having children, but controlling the narrative of the marriage or something. They're going to have to get feminism basically to get on board with them, because short of that, it's not going to happen. They're not going to be able to go back to family values because feminism is too strong as it stands.
Yeah. So true. People spend a lot of money into these politics and everything to get what they want. A lot.
And it's like a lot of things are going on, and they done, like you said, they done set things in motion that they didn't think about, and everything is basically coming down. The chickens come home to roost, as they say.
Yes. So true. Yep,
Oh,
there's way more factors than they ever thought about.
and
You know,
they got something else to celebrate. The second baby to what you call them, to the transplanted uterus was just born. Whoop whoop.
Oh
oh
yeah.
really?
Yeah, I just had a second baby for that transplanted uterus.
Oh,
So
I had to look into
Okay.
that still. Hmm.
Yeah, I've been running to those stories. Hmm.
so that's kicking off full speed. And they're now using HIV to cure cancer.
I
Well,
have not
yeah.
heard that either.
Well,
Hmm.
because it's about the way that the virus functions. And I remember this was like, I mean, shoot, maybe 5, 6, 7, a lot of seasons ago, on Grey's
Okay.
Anatomy, and they were talking about on Grey's Anatomy, and I went looked it up because it's actually something that was happening in research, where what they wanted to do in essence was deactivate, because they've done this with other forms of viruses and whatever. They want to deactivate the thing in HIV that kills you, but leave the mechanism of the way HIV spreads itself alone. Um,
Hmm.
because if you can get HIV, if you could get something that spreads and replicates and takes over the way HIV does, but it's a cancer killing thing, or
Hmm.
it's like something, whatever you're lacking, this thing could give it to you. And so they basically, the way I remember Bailey explaining it on Grey's Anatomy, and so she said they take the AIDS hat off, and they're going to put this hat on it, right? So in this case, they would put the cancer killing agent on it, and then it would still be using the same mechanism to go spread itself, but now it's not carrying AIDS, it's carrying a cancer killing thing.
Yep, and
Which,
they succeeded.
Hmm.
wow. It's funny because I remember even watching it and like looking at it, like that seems like not like pseudoscience, but like I feel like we're so far away from being able to do something like that, because we can't cure HIV/AIDS. So if we can't cure it, um, at least publicly, then how the hell are we going to do this? It just seems like
Right.
a stretch. So wow. I'm shocked. That's something else. But that being said, we also proved like 30 years ago that if you just don't eat sugar, any carbohydrates at all of any kind, cancer will die on its own, because the only thing that feeds cancer is sugar. Um, and not only do we not disseminate this information, but no one follows it. So, with that being said, I mean, like literally, if you have cancer and you never eat a drop of sugar ever again, your tumor will shrink and die. There will be no evidence of it anymore, because cancer thrives on sugar. It's the only thing it eats.
You
Nothing else will feed cancer cells.
you know what's crazy?
What?
There's a trial right now for sickle cell cure using HIV.
Never heard of that
That
one.
would be incredible. I mean, if they can do anything at all to cure, or even ameliorate sickle cell, short of, hey, we'll just keep doing blood transfusions,
Hmm.
which temporarily do something to solve the problem, like, wow, that would be amazing. I mean, just because I know too many people who have sickle cell, and like I know people who have a milder. It sounds weird to say you have a milder form of sickle cell, but they do. They have a milder form. It doesn't interfere too greatly with their lives. And then I remember we had a friend, and he started a foundation called the Fudge Foundation, and it's a sickle cell foundation. And he does a lot of fundraising for research into sickle cell. I should ask him about this. But at one
Hmm.
point he was going to die. Like they told him, there's nothing we can do for you. You're basically dead. You're a dead man walking. And he married his girlfriend that he had been with for like 20 years. Had 4 children with. Actually no, he had 6 children, but I think 4 living, because 2 of them died because of sickle cell. And went and married her and whatever, and then he survived. And like it was just like, it was such a shock he was still living. Like he ended up coming to our wedding and stuff, and I was just like, I remember when you were dying. Like I remember when you were basically dead. Like that was it. And they figured out something to help him. So just knowing that experience, knowing the experience that him and Sin went through, to when their children died and stuff like that, I don't
Hmm.
know. To me, it sounds crazy, but I'm like, I would take a shot at anything. That. these diseases that are so detrimental. Like, I wonder what the applications would be like. I don't know. I got to look into that because I think that it's interesting because there's so many different types of diseases and disorders, and yeah, sure, some of them are
Right.
deadly, and some of them are the big ones in the news that we pay attention to all the time. But there's a lot of diseases and disorders that people suffer with every single day that aren't getting all of that attention. Have really no treatments. Whatever, people just have to kind of live with them. So I
Mm-hmm.
wonder if they can start doing something for these big ones and kind of, hey, we cracked the case on this. We got something effective besides pouring poison into your body. Hey, maybe they'll be looking at stuff, for example, that affects women under the age of 40 and makes life a living hell for them, but they have to keep living because there's no treatment. There's just
Mm-hmm.
there's a label. We'll slap a label on your symptoms, and good luck with that. Yeah, so I think that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's something to look into.
Right? Like think about or something like cystic fibrosis. Where your lung tissue just over time becomes scarred and useless, and then you basically start drowning in your own fluids. Like to be able to send something like that, like an HIV type thing into the lungs, and it just consistently repairs and cleans out the lungs and does the job that your lungs are supposed to naturally do, but they don't because you have this genetic defect. Like
Mm-hmm.
people wouldn't be sitting there on waiting lists for lungs and so many of them dying off because lungs are a rare commodity. And then of course blood type and blah blah blah. So I'm like, yeah, no, to me that seems like super exciting. I have to look into it more though, because like I'm just talking about it in a really theoretical sense, and I know of
Uh-huh.
course there's so many negative implications about so many things in research, so many bad ways it can go, like we talked about last week. Was it last week or the week before with the uterus and black women disappearing and
Mm-hmm.
being allegedly kidnapped because of the to take their uteruses and give them to rich white women and stuff. So we know that there's so many negative implications of so many things. Um,
Right.
but just the idea that, for example, just with HIV itself, because I was looking into this. I don't know if y'all have heard about this as far as HIV. So it's because I was watching a TV show where they kept regularly talking about this. But anyway, so obviously we know now they're saying that if you have a zero viral load, even though you're HIV positive, that you cannot infect other people. Um, but now, so there's something you can be on called PrEP, which is basically it's like or is exactly the same as treating yourself for HIV/AIDS, but without you having the disease. And being on PrEP itself, if you do a lot of risky sexual, business, that you won't catch HIV, basically. You will never get a viral load. You'll never catch HIV. If you do, you wouldn't have a viral load anyway, so you would never transmit it to anyone. You would never develop the disease. Have you guys heard of this PrEP thing?
Yeah,
Um,
they got it all. A whole bunch of people over here taking it with this gay ass commercial.
okay, I've
Oh,
heard of that in a I think I was watching something and I heard about that.
I think the commercial insults me, and the reason why I said I don't mean I shouldn't say like gay ass like it's bad or whatever, but the commercial is really insulting to me. And the commercial for it says if you're a person who is high risk for HIV, yeah, get on this drug and it'll stop you from stop you from catching HIV. And in a commercial,
mhm.
it's like six people, five gay men and one black woman, and that's supposed to be the people who are high risk for HIV.
Oh, okay, I see what you
Oh,
mean. Okay, I get what you're saying with that advertisement. That's the
yeah.
face. They're using that as the face. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, no, that's insulting as fuck.
Yeah.
I don't blame you with that one.
And
It,
it's
like,
crazy because they have it's five gay men. Only white person is the one white gay man, and the other gay men are mostly black too. And they're like, I want to make sure my partner is safe. And then the one black woman who's the only straight one, and she's like, yes, because being high risk means that we have to protect ourselves.
Mm.
hmm. Really? So none
I
of the
wonder
people
who
she's
did
having
that.
sex with, none of the straight men she's having sex with are being high risk, having sex with random dudes in clubs. It's just her. Like, wait, what?
Yes, it's the one straight black woman and all the gay black men.
Wow.
I think I read something about that as far as who put that commercial together, or something about the funding of marketing or something like that. I read. I don't. It was recently too. Even though I haven't seen the
Wow.
commercial, but I do. That has just came to me about someone mentioning the marketing of
No,
that.
and it's funny because I was just listening. I cannot remember which stream, and they might be wrong because I did not look at the statistics at all. But something about this discussion came up, and someone was saying how they want to sit there and put down black women and act like black women are the only ones who are getting HIV/AIDS, or gay people, when really black within the black community, it's straight black men who actually have a higher rate of contracting HIV/AIDS. And I was like, oh, this is actually the first person I've heard say this. But when one person said it, then there was a trickle down effect, and everyone was talking about it. And it seems like people are afraid to so much as say that online, lest they be persecuted forever. But I think what it comes down to is I'm tired of people playing this stupid numbers game and the statistics game. That straight black woman, if she wasn't straight, right? If she only had sex with women, her likelihood of contracting AIDS is incredibly low. Incredibly low. And the reason why is because you contract AIDS through nicks and cuts, whatever, because of your exposure to someone's blood. So in and of itself, it's going to be people who are being penetrated who are most likely to contract HIV by that standard definition. Of course, fine. So you wanted to say people are being penetrated or contracting a lot of HIV. Okay, great. But they're contracting it from someone, and they're not all having sex with the same damn person. So while we might say that the women might have a higher risk because of this, when you look at the actual numbers, they're not actually all having sex with the same 5 dudes. All 2,000 women who contracted HIV this year, well, they're all having sex with the same 5 dudes who contracted HIV. That's bullshit, right? We all know that that doesn't logically make sense. It doesn't logically track. So one way or the other, what we need to recognize is that people having sex are contracting HIV and AIDS. People who are having a lot of sex with multiple partners, unprotected, are contracting HIV and AIDS, regardless of their orientation, regardless of their gender, regardless of their race. If that is what you're doing, you're going to contract HIV/AIDS, or it's a higher likelihood for you. We need to stop playing the stupid games of trying to pin it on someone, trying to blame it on someone, and whatever, and say, hey, listen, I don't care what group you fall into, race, gender, socioeconomic status, whatever it is. If you're going to be out there and you're going to be having a lot of sex with a lot of people, your thing is you like to go to raves and have sex with 5 different guys at night, and that's what you like to do right now. Okay, protect yourself. Make sure that he's always wearing a condom, or you're the guy, you're always wearing a condom, whatever, before any contact starts. But hey, if you're really risky, sometimes you forget, or you're really fucked up on drugs, or okay, fine. You know what? Please make sure that you are on this PrEP stuff. Make sure you're doing it.
I linked the
Because
commercial. It's called Truvada. Truvada commercial. I linked it.
Truvada. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out.
Okay.
Because see, that's the thing. We want to when we decide within the advertising that we're gonna play the blame game, we're gonna point fingers at people and put people down. You know what it does? It makes people reject whatever it is that you're selling them. And in this case, that means you're going to be rejecting something that could actually be helpful towards you. Because if you go and you get it, it's almost like admitting they're right about you. They're right about all black women, right? They're right about the risk is because black women, blah, 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 blah. And then, people who could be helped aren't going to get help because of the accusations in this commercial, which are bullshit. Obviously. I mean, the show that I was watching, in all fairness, was a gay show. I'll watch anything on Netflix, to be honest. But it was a gay British show. And they were all, like, every person inside of the show was on PrEP, whether they were straight or gay or whatever. It just seemed like they're all in, like, this whore culture. So if you're in whore culture, you're on PrEP. There you go. You can stop, being terrified every 10 seconds, and they were also getting checked very regularly, like say every 3 months or whatever. I think that that is a good thing to encourage to people who are part of hoe culture. Like, if I'm not sitting there making any judgments right now about whether you should be in whore culture or not. The point is that's how you want to live your life. Protect yourself to the best of your ability as much as is humanly possible, because that one day that you messed up could change the rest of your life. Like, and I learned that, interestingly enough, from Degrassi, when a white straight male, Dwayne, this is the old school Degrassi, Degrassi Junior High, Degrassi High, a white straight male had sex with a white straight woman who was a little bit older and got HIV/AIDS from her. Right? So this was not a gay thing. It was listen, straight people had HIV/AIDS. I knew a girl. My dad, when I was a kid, was dating this chick, Jenny. Jenny had 3 kids. I remember her youngest kid was like a year younger than me, and we were all like family. We lived in the same building. We were so cool with each other. And I remember one time, she dropped something or whatever, like a glass or something, and it broke and it cut her finger, and there was blood everywhere, and she was screaming, like, "Get the fuck out of the kitchen! What are you doing?" Like, she was freaking out that we were trying to come and help, right? Like, I was pretty like she was gonna hurt us. Like, we finally went and left, and we were all crying and stuff. Because we didn't know what the hell. It's only after they broke up when I remember my dad telling me, like, oh well, Jenny had HIV, and I was like, really? Yeah, she got it from some guy. She was, had sex with some guy in a club, whatever, blah blah blah, caught HIV/AIDS after she had her kids already, right? So straight people contract HIV/AIDS. White women contract it too. Like, so do Chinese people. So do Indian people. I don't know why we have to do this stupid blame game and pointing fingers game, and whatever, acting like somehow or another it can't target everyone, and it doesn't target everyone. Period. Make sure you heard the T at the end of my period. Like, come on now.
Loud and clear.
Oh, I'm over it. I'm over the stereotyping and the dumb bullshit. Because I really do think that, to me at least, what we should be about is there's some things where, yeah, we got to talk to and claim our own about some stuff. You know what I mean? And then there's some stuff that it's not necessary for us to do that, but we do it anyway, or we allow it to be done anyway. Like it makes it okay, or like it makes it more useful, or more helpful to anyone. And in this case, it just really doesn't.
Yeah. Well, look at
I
the
would
time.
like to say one thing though. Just because there are straight black women out there does not mean that they should be taking Truvada for HIV, because of the fact that they're straight black women. No matter what the commercial says, you should not have to think that or feel that way at all.
Oh yeah, no. I'm sorry. I was just speaking of horror culture. If you're in horror culture, if that's what you're doing, and y'all know what hoe culture is, you got the hot girl summers. If you're in that, that's what you want to do, right? I'm not making any judgments about the fact that you want to do it, right? But if that's what you do, if you want to have a lot of casual sex, no strings attached, whatever, blah blah, drinking and drugs and partying and or sleeping around a lot, or whatever, that lifestyle, y'all know what the lifestyle is. If y'all are part of that lifestyle, regardless of your orientation, your race, your gender, anything, right, you should be working to make yourself as safe as possible while you do it. Don't be ashamed of what you're doing, because that's why people don't protect themselves, because they're ashamed of themselves. And so what they do is they if they plan for it in advance, then they have to claim it. They have to claim that this is what they're planning on doing, and then they have to feel shame. I'm saying, listen, I'm not making any value judgments. Your body is your body, and what you want to do with it is what you want to do with it. Y'all know how I feel about certain things, and I'll keep saying that. But what it comes down to is it's still your choice. And if you are in that lifestyle, if that's what you're doing, I think you should be as safe as possible. And to me, that includes condoms, and that includes, this PrEP. If this PrEP thing is real and you could really just take it and it really will block you contracting HIV/AIDS, you should still wear the condom, but do this too. Because to me, as much protection as you can layer on yourself, so that way your young, youthful, carefree, careless choices, don't affect you for the next, the rest of your life.
The rest of your
That's how I
life.
see it.
Right.
Yeah,
No, my
rest of your life.
wasn't about what you were saying. I was saying it because the fact that that's what the commercial saying. The commercial is
Right.
saying that if you're a black woman, you need to be on Truvada. So I was
Right.
saying that just because the commercial is saying that if you're a black woman, you need to be on Truvada, doesn't mean that you should be on Truvada.
Yeah,
Right.
you
Yep.
contact them. You tell them a thing or two. That's what you do,
Mhm.
fitness mom. I'm putting you in charge of that. You contact them.
Oh, they were contacted. Oh, they were contacted for sure. It was an outrage. Like the video I linked is the only one you can find on YouTube, and it doesn't circulate on the TV anymore. Because I mean, it was an up. I mean, the commercial is plain as day. What it's saying, it says,
Yeah.
"I am a high risk individual because of my
Mhm.
lifestyle,
Mhm.
and the only high risk individuals were gay men and the straight black woman."
Mhm.
That's right. You tell them.
Of course.
Okay,
Everyone else is
ladies.
virtuous. Mhm.
It is midnight,
Mm.
and we are going to end this broadcast. Thank everyone for coming through and supporting us. We appreciate you guys.
Mhm.
Participation is participation. We appreciate it. And we'll be streaming tomorrow, 7 p.m. Central. And we normally end at 8:30. Let's see what happens, what kind of topics we have. We may go a little longer. Have some extra time now. So let's see what happens.
All right.
Um, it's open topic, but I always have it formatted a little bit just in case it's just me, because that's how it started off. Starting the show and all of that. So just staying with that as far as having me something to talk about, which is really ranting. I always find stuff to rant about, so I'll do that and have my segment this time because I didn't do it last week. But I'll have my judge and jury segment up, and yeah. So
All right.
thank you all. Appreciate you guys. Thank you, Ruby and Fitness Mom, for coming through. Appreciate it, and hope to see you guys tomorrow. The rest of you.
Right. Mhm. All right. And it was a pleasure and an honor. Fitness mom, man, she gives me the giggles sometimes. She's awesome. She really is. But yeah, have a good night, everyone. And of
Peace.
course, Shar, you're awesome. We love you. Cheers.
Thank you. Love you too. Peace.
And cheers.